baby.
I'm finally back. No, I didn't die. I'd rather not get into why I had to take a break, as it's uninteresting and unimportant. Now, where were we? Fuck. Okay, before we do that, some quick bullshit. By now, everybody knows what's going on with Lacey Green. There seems to be an unofficial betting pool going on, and I'm putting my metaphorical money on her being sincere, in that she wants to open a dialogue, but for the ulterior motive of turning on those who accept her first. As such, I'll be treating her with the caution you would when, say, feeding a wild animal. Alright, here we go. What have you got for me now, John?
Reason number 2 is that consoles are easy to pick up and play.
Now, I know most people are going to expect me to jump in here and be a dick about what he just said, but no, he's right. Outside of what I've been told about the current gen's mandatory initial update. Yeah, there's that picture of some poor guy's download that says 36 hours. It took me 10 minutes to set up Windows, and I've only changed anything because I wanted to.
And anyone can tell you, a console is far easier to just come home or pick up the controller and just start playing.
No, sir. Easier, maybe, but definitely not far easier. It's so simple to start up a game on my PC. Boot up, takes like 10 seconds, enter my optional password, takes less than 3 seconds, and then double click on an icon. Very, very easy. I swear the only people that would ever say playing on PC is hard or a pain in the ass is people who have never done it. I know I used to think it was difficult, but that was going off of horribly outdated information. I hadn't played a game on the PC since the late 90s, and I thought it was some agonizing process to get anything to work properly.
And, pop in your disc.
Or do a one-time download and never have to worry about discs ever again. No scratches, no pets, no kids, no problemo.
Start playing. Have a good time.
Dealing with the hordes of children whose irresponsible parents let them game all day, every day. Get hacked by, what were they calling themselves, Lizard Squad? Deal with the abhorrent peer-to-peer system that most console games use. But, no big deal. That's all tolerable when you've never known anything else.
Log into your, connection via either you're on Xbox Live or PSN Network, or hell, if you're even on Nintendo, the Nintendo services.
Dealing with a real intellectual powerhouse here, guys. The word you're looking for, John, is account. Profile. Not that hard.
But still, a console is just easier to access, to play your games, and have more fun.
I mean, if you like playing your games at 900p, maybe 30 FPS, dealing with, a controller, or being proverbially surrounded by children. Sure, if you like all that, you'll have a blast on console.
With a PC, you gotta go through all these windows.
No, you really don't. You click on one thing on your desktop and boom, the game is running.
You have to install the game.
You say that like you think that games are shipped in a completed state. They're not. Even 5 years ago, earlier than that even, games were coming out with day one patches. And if by install, you mean configure settings to a point where they are pleasing to you, the player, then you don't appreciate the freedom that is customization. I have the choice of playing my games on the highest possible settings and sacrificing frames per second, playing at the highest frame rate and sacrificing some polish, or anything in between. As the gamer, I have all the freedom the developers want me to have. You, as a console gamer, do not have that freedom. You're stuck with my medium settings at best. And even then, half my frame rate. You know what? I'm going to see if I can find that awesome visualization of the difference in frame rates I saw a while back. Alright, it took half an hour, but I found it. Now, YouTube doesn't let me or anyone upload in 120 FPS as far as I know, so you could ignore that circle on the right. So, all of these circles are moving up and down at exactly the same speed. The only difference is the number of frames you're seeing every second. I'm going to leave this up for a minute so you can really see the difference. As I just discovered, there are other visualizations out there, but this one is my favorite for its simplicity. It also distinctly shows the difference between the 15 frames you get on a console when things are hectic and there's a lot to process, and the 60 that people on the PC are capable of running at, no matter what's going on in the game. This right here is possibly the biggest reason I can give for fans of shooters to not be on console. I was a pretty big Call of Duty guy for what felt like forever, and I never knew how much I was missing out on by playing on an Xbox. For what I had to practice with, I got damn good at Twitch shooting, but I never knew just how limited my hardware was. Now, I'm not into COD anymore, as I've discovered that there's so much more being offered than just grinding for the next prestige or practicing for hours upon hours to get a better time on a match of zombies. But if Call of Duty or Battlefield is your thing, then you are only hurting yourself by playing it on a console at 30 FPS, if you're lucky.
Make sure that that everything is working properly, the setups are properly, like a graphics card or your RAM can even have the capability of holding the game.
John, are you retarded? Really, I don't want to spend another minute picking on, to my surprise, another special kid. Configure your RAM? Hold the game? You're on the internet, talking shit about something that millions of people are passionate about. It's inevitable that one or more of those people is going to come along, see what you have to say on this matter, and laugh at you. A few of them might even make videos about it. I don't even care if you're retarded. I'm still going to respond. If not for your benefit, then some other person who, statistically speaking, is likely a reasonably intelligent individual looking for information or lulz. I offer both in varying quantities from one day to the next. I would do this every day, but damn does it take a while to make videos on this software.
And that just is going to cost you more money to deck the bastard out when you can just actually buy a console.
You seem to be under the impression that you need to buy the biggest, baddest parts on the market, when anyone involved in PC gaming will tell you the opposite. We generally say, buy what you can afford now, upgrade when you need to. There's always some console peasant saying that you have to upgrade every couple of years, or every year, or every few months, I saw once. Also not true. I can't really speak on this, as I bought a shitty pre-built for about $100 more than the parts were worth, but you don't have to upgrade all the time. Games don't advance in terms of demand all that quickly these days, what with consoles being so far behind hardware innovations. You can skate by with a fairly cheap processor, you don't need a fancy case, and if we're being honest, we're transitioning from 8 gigs of RAM being the minimum to 16. If you're just getting in now, save yourself some cash in a couple of years and buy 16. I promise you it's the better choice. And then there's graphics cards. Personally, I recommend getting the best one you can. I bought a GTX 1060 and I fucking love it. This card chews up whatever I throw at it. Battlefield 1 doesn't even make it sweat, because I can't even run the damn game at 60 FPS with the rest of my hardware.
If you had, back when PS3, anytime a game console came out, just go home, plug it in, pop in whatever game you have, pop in your controller, pop in the disc, and boom, you're off. You're having a good time.
Day 1 updates, John. Day 1 patches. In the modern gaming environment, plug and play is hard to find. Don't take this statement to mean that we don't have to deal with this shit on PC. We do. And it's only allowed to continue because of corporate greed and general incompetence. Companies push out new games every year or two, and they have a deadline to meet. If the game isn't quite done or a new bug is discovered, they still have to meet the deadlines they set months or a year ago and ship the discs anyway. Doesn't matter that the game is incomplete or broken, the suits want it done. So they ship, and people buy incomplete games that will be patched with updates that were made weeks or maybe months after the discs were burned. This habitual fucking of customers is only allowed to continue because people keep bending over for it. I haven't bought a brand new game since fucking Destiny launched. I got sick of dealing with it. The more people do the same, the sooner companies will start respecting the relationship they have with us. And this goes without even mentioning the updates for the console itself. I didn't have to do any of that for Windows. That was really as simple as plug it in, get the basics set up, and go. Say what you will about Microsoft, but Windows is pretty good to me.
The game is booting up quicker.
Alright, you want to see how quickly a game boots up on the PC? I'm going to click on Arkham Asylum, double click, there's my security warning that pops up every time. And there it is. Alright, let's hit play. Ah, there it is. And there we go, I'm in the game. Pretty sure that's actually louder than I am. But there you go, I'm in the game, it was that fast. Was that 5 seconds?
Yes, load times have always been a strain in gaming, but as of late with games, load times are proceedingly getting quicker.
The advent of solid-state drives, everyone's load times will improve. But you know what sucks for you guys? You have to wait for them. For PC users, it's as simple as buying one and plugging it in. They have such a high data transfer speed, I thought it was a typo when I read how good they are. Up to 6 gigabytes of data transfer per second. If you're on the PC, you can buy them for anywhere from $60 to $1,500. Of course, the super expensive one is 4 terabytes, but it's an option if you've got money to burn. There are also ones available on Newegg for less than the one I chose, but I wouldn't really recommend anything less than 500 gigabytes. As of right now, that's $150. I don't know about the rest of you, but I can live with my standard hard drive for now. Alright, we're going to skip about 10 seconds of his nonsense. Moving on.
Consoles, far easier to pick up and play.
I'm gonna be pedantic and say that holding a controller takes more effort than resting your hands on a desk or a table or whatever to use the mouse and keyboard. I'll also call it a draw on which one is actually easier to plug and play, John. Sure, consoles have the updates that need to be done, but that doesn't really take effort in the traditional sense of the word. It's a pain in the ass, but it isn't hard to do.
That's the number 2 reason why consoles outmatch the PC.
That is absolutely wrong.
I noticed something with the third choice here. It's between what has more lag, the consoles or the PC.
Oh, you have no idea what you're getting into, John. Alright, let's hear what you have to say.
And I'm sorry, PCs are more susceptible to lag because of viruses.
Antivirus software. You can buy third-party software, or you can just let Windows Defender do its thing. It works just fine for me. 1.5 years and not a single threat. Probably because I'm not a dumbass and I don't open every random thing that I come across on the internet. I also only use long-verified adult entertainment outlets.
Your computer can get infected.
Can, but probably won't.
Your computer can have all types of, even something so small can just cause less lag.
Okay, first off, more lag. Dude, really, English is not that hard. Second, I find it funny that you made lag one of your 5 points. It's different, sure, but you also have no idea what you're talking about. You want to know how I'm so sure? Because viruses are the only thing you were able to bring up. They're an uncommon issue at worst and completely avoidable at best. Major companies have an incentive to protect their customers from attacks. If word gets out that they're connected to, what do you call it, a mass infection? That's some really bad press, and you can be damn sure that everyone and their dog will hear about it.
And if you don't have the top-notch connection or top-notch internet in your household or wherever you are, you're not going to have a good time. You're going to have a bad time.
You don't seem to understand bandwidth, and I just don't have the energy to do that right now, so fuck it, you get a pass on this one.
Where the consoles remedy this problem.
No, they don't. I speak from years of experience getting dropped from games. You're wrong, and whatever you're about to say next is wrong.
By not that less lag.
Holy shit, not even was I right, but that didn't even make any sense. Was that English? I mean, they were English words, but was that English?
You know, yes, there's lag, but there's not a lot.
Yes, there's lag, but there's not a lot.
I don't even have a response to this idiocy. It's been 6 hours and you've just worn me down with this stupidity.
You know, whenever I play games, and if on day one, obviously games are always buggy and laggy on day one.
Of course games are buggy on the first day. I went over this a few minutes ago. Next.
But they fix the problem relatively quick, the systems are up and running, and bam, you could just constantly keep playing.
First, servers, not systems. The servers are generally under heavy load right after a release. Second, if you're constantly playing, you need to take a break. Sitting down for extended periods of time is bad for you. I'm not a doctor and I don't have the motivation to go into the why right now. Just get your ass up, stretch, walk around for a few minutes.
You can get right back to where you were, and even if there is lag, like say on the multiplayer side of things, if you play multiplayer games,
there is always lag in multiplayer. It's called latency, ping, and more colloquially, lag. It's the amount of time it takes for the signal to go from your device to the server, then the peer acting as the host, and then the time it takes to get back. It works at almost the speed of light because it's electricity, but even that isn't instantaneous. It takes time. You're killing me, John. You are sapping my will to live.
you still have single player experiences in single player games such as the almighty great Skyrim.
Oh god, don't tell me you're one of those people that thinks Skyrim is the end-all be-all of single player games. Wait, you're a console peasant. I should have expected that.
Or games that you could play offline and have a good time. And the offline single player games don't have lag.
They don't have peer-to-peer latency, but the latency between your controller and console and display, that's very real. I'll bet dollars to donuts you use a television and a wireless controller. That's about 50 milliseconds of latency right there, John. Tack that onto the 100 or more that you'll be getting on multiplayer. Tell me you don't have lag again. Go ahead.
That's a huge side up. Unlike Watch Dogs 2 when it came out, it was buggy and laggy even in its single player component, which was terrible. I've seen the gameplay footages of when it was released. You know, it doesn't have nowhere near the promises and not the graphics that the PC players wanted.
We have high standards. Something I've noticed a lot of console gamers don't feel a need for. This mentality is why we get stuck with games like Infinite Warfare, Halo 5, Skyrim, and BioShock Infinite. Franchises that had so much potential, ruined by simplifying elements, streamlining too far, and attempting to appeal to so many people, they alienated the peoples that made them so big in the first place.
Oh, the console players didn't even get it, but shit, it was 100 times more accessible and easy to play when it came to the console.
I didn't play Watch Dogs, nor do I care to, but I'm super duper sure that you're wrong.
You know, so that's the number 3 reason. There's less lag than the PC. So, get that straight.
Get your shit together!
John, you're the one that needs to get your shit straight. Come onto the internet talking like you know it all, and someone's eventually gonna come along and correct you.
Since the day consoles were created, they have been far superior when they're able to hook up and just play. You can easily set up a game console and just start having a ball.
I swear, if you don't say anything else with this point, I'm going to skip it. I'll also just remind everyone that the starting download for an Xbox One S is apparently 2 gigabytes, and the PS4's is a respectable 308 megabytes. Alright, yeah, most of it's bullshit, but there is one little thing I want to respond to, and it's not even related to getting set up.
Sit your ass on the sofa, chair, bed, wherever you want to play, and boom, The easiest setup in the world.
You know where I'm sitting right now, John? I'm sitting on my bed. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The fifth and final reason is that controllers are more accessible.
In spite of costing $60 flat and having no option to customize outside of colors and third-party hardware. Sure, they're accessible, but I never paid a dime for my peripherals until I decided that I wanted an MMO gaming mouse. Best purchase I've ever made. This thing was well priced, and I can use the buttons for pretty much anything. With a little practice, I could even use it for data entry.
Because not everyone is going to force themselves to master a skill with pressing multiple keys, using a mouse constantly with one hand, where your two hands are separate, where the controller can actually just put your two hands together, and you could just start playing like normal.
I'm legitimately disgusted at the thought of being so deep into my own peasantry that I refer to using a controller as the standard. They're awful. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 controllers right now, and I hate them. Bear in mind that I exclusively use controllers for well over a decade. I've been using a keyboard for a year and a half, and I can already tell you that this is much more versatile.
Yes, I know PCs have their own controllers, but their own controllers are based off the console controllers, or you can plug up console controllers to the PC.
It's nice to see a console peasant admit to the option of using one or the other, but that doesn't mean you're right about any of the other things you said before this.
But still, PC controlling, yeah, the argue goes back and forth, which is better.
No, it really doesn't. People who refuse to learn how to use a keyboard say that controllers are universally better. There's a short list of games that benefit from a controller more than a keyboard, and another list of games for which it doesn't even matter, but the keyboard has far and away many more advantages. There is one singular thing that a controller does better than a keyboard, and that is movement in a first-person shooter. We get 4 buttons with which to move, W, A, S, and D. Pressing one button moves in that direction. Pressing 2 will split the difference and move in between the original 2. This configuration allows for 8 possible vectors of travel at a set speed. This is obviously not as favorable as the options allowed by a thumbstick. There, I said something no one else in the master race will admit. It bothers me, but I've adapted.
And I know people are going to bitch and complain at that, but you know what? When it comes down to it, when you start playing with the controller, it's far more comfortable on your hands.
Remember how earlier I said I hate my controllers? They don't feel right anymore. Using a thumbstick to aim doesn't feel right. Using my thumb to press buttons, sacrificing my ability to aim, doesn't feel right. Keeping my fingers on the corresponding buttons to move feels better. It gives me a tactical advantage over one who does not. I can move, aim, and press whatever other button I need to, whenever I need to.
Far more easier, far more simpler.
English, John. You're murdering it. Far easier, far simpler. There is no need for more in either of those phrases. They're grammatically correct before you add more.
And boom, you can charge it instead of having to either A, if you have a wireless remote on the PC, you gotta always have batteries on hand or plug one up. But your hands will sweat far more.
Whether you're wrong or lying, this couldn't be any less true. I've had zero issue with sweating on my mouse and keyboard. Zero.
And you'll just have more uncomfortabilities.
Oh my god. Really? Uncomfortabilities? John, you speak English. You don't have an accent that would indicate it's not your native language. Fucking learn your primary language.
It's like you can get carpal tunnel much quicker by using the keyboard and mouse.
Funny story. I did actually get carpal tunnel in high school from using a controller.
Sometimes your hand controls will not match up. Like say, you want to use your left hand to move around and your right hand to aim.
So you mean exactly like it is on a controller? Trust me, John, I've used both. It's exactly the same.
When on a controller, your left hand is to move around and your right is to aim and do all the other buttons.
Fucking hell, John. The longer this goes on, the more I'm convinced you actually are retarded. I really want to skip the rest of this, but it's all of 15 seconds, so let's just get it over with.
It just makes more sense and naturally gravitate toward a controller.
They're both unnatural. The difference is the keyboards have been evolving for years to be used for longer and longer spans of time, because they are actually productive.
Hands will naturally gravitate to the use of a controller instead of a keyboard and mouse.
One of those controllers that I mentioned earlier, I actually bought because I couldn't use one of my old 360 controllers. I bought it because I wanted to try Fallout 4 with it. It was so much worse, and I'd only been using the keyboard for a few weeks at that point. I honestly wouldn't even bother with it anymore. I've gotten so used to the keyboard. But I'm glad that I have the option for games like Dark Souls. The key bindings in that game are utterly sadistic.
I mean, I'm not gonna sit there swinging my arms back and forth with a mouse
Yeah, neither would I.
and busting up my fingers, damn near swelling them up trying to use a keyboard.
Either you're using a keyboard wrong or you have a serious medical condition. I'm gonna go with the first one.
But anyway, that's been JohnKill3D's top 5 reasons why PC cannot match up to the consoles in this current time. If you disagree, go ahead and let me know.
I didn't really need permission, but it's always nice to have it anyway. Alright, I got it done in 2 days, but I got it done. I hope I don't have to respond to another of your videos, John. It's always odd jumping back into something after taking a lengthy break from it, and I really wish my break hadn't been after responding to the first part of this. Anyway, I've got some things to take care of today, so thanks for joining me. I sincerely hope you have a good one, and hope you'll join me for my next video.